gentlemen, my name is Charlie Rain. Today we're going to be talking to Paul Demore, an attorney in Annapolis, about legal rights. Everything from what happens if you get pulled over, how do you get a lease, what happens if you accidentally get arrested for purchasing alcohol underage, because people that are aging out, it's everywhere from 16 all the way up to 24. Let's go. I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about my story. As a young kid, mother was in the freaking correction center, and I got put into foster care for a little bit before I was put into permanent custody with an awesome family that eventually adopted me when I was 12 years old. But I know what it's like to be in the system and to have that stigma around you. You know, my family's done some things. It doesn't ever reflect on who we are as people. And so the reason that I do what I do is so that I can help people that were just like me and people that are just like you out here, where society tells us, you know, that like, one, if you're aging out of the foster care system, you aren't, like, you're not good enough, or you're not the right type of person to be adopted or something like that, and that's not true. Sorry guys, I'm crossing the street. It's really important to look both ways before crossing. That's just common knowledge. I was lucky enough to get adopted, but there are some people that just didn't have that opportunity. And so I'm here to help you have that opportunity to just be who you want. Alright, so basically what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks is having conversations with different experts in life skills that you need to know that otherwise you wouldn't know. So we're talking about financial literacy, we're talking about legal rights, we're talking about college, we're talking about how to change a freaking tire. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
What are kind of the laws around social media, and like what are some ways that you would advise kids to protect themselves?
I'm going to answer this question in two different ways. One as a lawyer and two as an employer. Okay. All right. So the first thing employers are doing nowadays is they're getting every piece of information they can get on you that you've put out there. So any clubs that you're affiliated with, anything that you're liking on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever's out there, okay, they're going to find it. Maryland is a very dangerous social media place because it does not have separate social media laws. There are a lot of states now that have adopted social media laws that fall outside of the distribution of sexual images or the distribution of child pornography. Maryland doesn't do that. So if you're 16 years old and you take a picture of yourself in your underwear and you send it to one of your friends, you've now distributed child pornography. If anybody sends you anything like that, you're guilty if you open it and don't delete it.
So, aging out of the system, you're an adult. I want to get an apartment.
Yeah.
How can I go about that being, first off, like 18, 19, two, if I don't have parents, then who are my co-signers? Like, what is a co-signer? So if you want to dive into some of that like legal stuff for living.
So a landlord wants to know two things. Can you make the payments, and are you going to keep my property undamaged? For federal law, you can't be discriminated against for age, race, sex, handicap. Maryland actually has added to that you can't be discriminated against based on gender identity, sexual orientation. So if you think that you're not being given the chance to lease an apartment based on any of those things, then you probably have a Fair Housing Act claim. You should call legal aid and see if you can do something about it. You find a place to live, you have to have enough money saved up so you can pay the security deposit and the first month's rent. Now here's what I've seen a lot in Maryland. Landlords will try to get away with charging a security deposit that's illegal. Okay, legally they can only charge you 2 times the amount of monthly rent.
Okay.
Legally, what they're supposed to do with that security deposit is put it in an interest-bearing account, and they're supposed to pay you 3% interest on that money as long as it sits there. What happens to that security deposit at the end? Your landlord has to give you notice when you move out that they're going to do a post-tenancy inspection. That means we're going to walk through the apartment, we're going to look at everything that was in the apartment, and we're going to make sure it's in as good a shape as it was when you moved in. Okay. They then have to present you with a list of the items that they're deducting from your security deposit. Okay? and how much it's going to cost to repair them, and they need to give you proof of what it's going to cost to repair them. That's the only way they can keep any of your security deposit legally. Every situation in life has its due process, okay?
Of course.
So once you enter into a legal relationship with someone, which is called a contract, which a lease is just a contract, you now have rights, the landlord has rights. You want to enforce your rights, they want to enforce their rights. There are due process steps. Everything else is just bullying, and landlords bully tenants all the time. And here's one that a lot of people know. In Maryland, there's actually an exception to breaking a lease if you're a victim of domestic violence.
I would love to talk to you about working, because we're aging out, got to make money, right? We're supporting ourselves. How do you go about getting a work permit?
Anyone under 18 has to get a work permit in Maryland, or they can't legally work. Now, the way you go about doing that is first you have to, believe it or not, you have to get a job. You will need a letter from your guardian, from your prospective employer, and an application to the state of Maryland to get your work permit.
Okay.
And you can do it all online.
Nice.
Yeah.
Transitioning into a new topic.
Okay.
I just turned 16 and I've aged out and I want to get a car.
Okay.
How do I go about that? And can I get a car if I'm 16?
Probably not.
What about 18?
18 you can, and here's a reason for that. Buying a car involves signing a contract. Signing a contract involves being an adult. To legally sign a contract, you have to be 18.
And where do I go to like get help? Like, where's a good place to get help?
Legal aid. Always
Okay.
start with legal aid. But if you get charged criminally, you have a right to a public defender. It's just that you're going to have to sweat it out, right? Because they're going to say, well, your public defender's been called. They'll be here in 3 hours. And that, you know, but you got to stick it out. Most lawyers got into the profession because they wanted to help people. Yeah, you learned something on a website that's informative. Pick up the phone. Say this. I was on your website, Mr. and Mrs. Lawyer. I thought it was really informative, and I'm currently facing a. Can I just talk to you a little bit?
Okay.
Call them. You'd be surprised how many people are just willing to talk to young people because they just want to help.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for coming in today to hang with me, grab some coffee in the sixth spot. And I appreciate everything that you've said. And I even learned some things that I didn't know. And I've been, I guess, a young adult now for a while. So, yeah, thanks for sharing your knowledge. I appreciate it.
And I just want to add one thing. If anybody's watching this, don't rely on what I said. All right, we were having an informal conversation.
Of course.
Do your homework. Do your research. If you're in real trouble, talk to a lawyer.
Good. And now it's there. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw in the content that we put out, please be sure to like and subscribe, and then we will catch you all in the next coming videos. Have an awesome rest of your day, and thanks for checking in with us and learning about life skills. Have a good one.